It says we're live. I'm just going to confirm that and see if I can get that same. See, I'm here. Okay. Oh, my phone's on airplane mode, so that's not going to work. Let me get it off of airplane mode. Good. Wi-Fi's connected. Good. Let's go back to Facebook again and see if we're here. I think I hear from the Peanut Gallery we're live. Hi everyone. Hi, it's Dr. Tom. It's Tuesday. It's 4 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Eastern, and 1 o'clock here in Poland. I'm in Poland. Oh, there are the hearts, and let's see, Stephen's there. Hello, Stephen. Good day to you. And Terry from Alexandria and Lynn from Phoenix. Lexi's joined. There's my honey who's joined. Mindy's here from Kentucky. Hi, everyone. It's nice to be with you again. I'm going to get my phone set up here so I can see questions as they come in. There we go. And I'm going to have to turn the volume down on the phone. And good. Okay, the volume's down. And it says there's 9 comments. Wanda's from Long Island is here. Sharon in Costa Rica. Beppy, wait, what was that? Beppy's in Malaysia. Hello, Beppy. Thank you. Bridget's in Brampton. Bridget's in Brampton. That's a tongue twister. I was in the car the other day. I'm driving to an interview, and I was warming up, and my wife's niece and nephew were laughing in the back seat because my warm up is a Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. A pack of pickled peppers Peter Piper did pick, right? And it's just how you loosen up your muscles, to make sure that when you're speaking, you don't get caught trying to say something, but it won't come out. Adriana's here from Jacksonville, and Amal is here from Marina Del Rey. Lynn's in South Australia. Hi, Lynn. I keep thinking about Australia. I was there a couple of weeks ago, and I really liked it. Gold Coast, nice area, easy to like, but I like the people, and I really enjoyed the time there. Maravic's here from the Philippines. Dawn's in Japan. Hi, Dawn. I think Dawn's part of the armed forces over there. Your husband's in the armed forces, and you're on base, if I remember correctly. Anthony's in Chicago. Sophia's in Quebec. John's in Texas. Sandra's in Florida, and John wrote something which I think is Polish, CZESC. I don't know, but I think that's Polish because it's sure not English. Karen's Ontario. Hi. We're solo here today. I'm solo here today, and I'm solo here to answer your questions today, and also to talk a little more about that hot topic last week. I'm really proud that, and I talked to Dr. Tenpenny afterwards. She had a great time, and she said over 15,000 people have looked at her site from coming through our Facebook Live last week, and she's very grateful, and so that's great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for just checking out her stuff, and if you found it of interest that you've signed up for it, which is great. I personally think you can't have too much information as long as it's accurate information, and Dr. Sherry is all about the science, and she can just flip through any topic there the way that I can talk to you about wheat and wheat-related disorders, and she can do the same about vaccinations and what the studies say and what different words mean. But her program is designed to give you the language so that you can communicate clearly whatever your beliefs are or your concerns, that you have enough competence and understanding so that you can speak the language accurately, and how to talk to people and how to identify people who are fanatical on either end of the equation, and just how to keep your wits about you. So I really like Sherry's course and what she's trying to do. And when people do take her course, it becomes really clear. And I've never heard of anyone who took her course, disagreed with the conclusions, and came back with any rational arguments I haven't heard of anyone, and I've looked a little, not too much, but I've looked a little for that. That when you see what the studies say, this is not what Dr. Tenpenny says, it's what the studies say. It just drops your jaw. I mean, the question keeps coming up, how can they do that? How can they do that? Don't they know what they're doing to their own kids also? And so it's really interesting. It's an interesting topic. Mia's in North Wales. Hello, Mia. Thank you for joining. And Kristen Kemry's here. Hi, Kristen. Wanda's here from Long Island, and Sharon's in Costa Rica. And guys, if you can, Lynn Johnson from South Australia, hello. You can write in your questions if you have some about that topic on vaccinations or on anything. I'm here with you. It's you and I, and without any real agenda. I've got a couple things I wanted to talk about. And so I'm going to talk about a couple topics, but it's really about what you have questions about, if anything. So the first thing to get us rolling here, can I do share screen here? I don't think I can. I don't see an option here to do that. No, I guess I can't. Okay, I was going to share my screen with you, but I can't. So for those of you who can look at something on your phone or on your computer, go to theDr.com /smell. theDr.com /smell. And I am so in awe of the value of this smell test. I just can't tell you just how valuable it is, and why is it valuable? It's valuable because, you know, there's the old joke, if you don't know, you don't know, you're in bliss. If you know that you don't know, you're in confusion and frustration. You know that you don't know something. And when you know that you know, you're back in bliss again, but true bliss, right? So people just don't know when the brain is deteriorating and what to do about a brain that's deteriorating. They don't know. They just don't know. So we put together the brain course. And in the brain course, the brain master class, there are 6 sections to this. And I'm just going to give you an example, and then I'll get to the smell. I'm off on a tangent already. This one is the DrTomOBryan /brain-masterclass. The DrTomOBryan /brain-masterclass. And in the master class, there are 6 sections. So I'm just going to click on one section, food in your brain. And when I click on that one, what you get in the Brain Master class, the videos, there are 5 different videos. Food and its effects on your body, foods for a vibrant and functional brain. I talk about what foods to eat and when to eat them. Good fats, bad fats, and your brain video. Some of the things I talked about in Dr. Mark Hyman's Broken Brain. He's doing part 2, by the way, and there's a film crew coming here to video me on Friday for Broken Brain 2. And I'll be talking more about good fats, bad fats, and your brain. The impact of food sensitivity on your brain. What happens when you have elevated antibodies to wheat or to dairy or to lectins? What happens? You know, 74% that have elevated antibodies to lectins, and lectins are in many different foods. In wheat, it's called wheat germ agglutinins. That's the lectin family. There's a family, and that's the main one in wheat. But lectins are in beans and many grains. And if you have elevated antibodies to lectins, and that's the lectin zoomer. You've heard me talk about the zoomer test before, and the great bundles that are available right now from the lab. The zoomer panel, the wheat zoomer, the dairy zoomer, the lectin zoomer, the neural zoomer. There's 6 or 7 of them. And if you have elevated antibodies to lectins that you identify in the lectin zoomer, you have 74% of those people have elevated antibodies to their brain. 74% of them have elevated antibodies to their brain. Let me say that differently. 74% of them have elevated antibodies to their brain. Well, okay, what does that mean? See, it's normal to have antibodies to your own tissue, but when you have elevated antibodies to your own tissue, you're killing off more cells than you're making. That's why it's so good to do these Zoomers. And there's the whole Zoomer panels out there. You'll find them on my website. That's why it's so good to do the Zoomer panels, is to see, do I have, I've got elevated antibodies to peanuts? Well, I feel fine when I eat peanuts. Well, if you have elevated antibodies to the lectins in peanuts, when you eat peanuts, 74% of those people also make antibodies to their cerebellum, or to myelin basic protein, the saran wrap around your nerves and around your brain, or to gangliosides. When you have elevated antibodies to gangliosides, over the years, when that continues, you get non-Alzheimer's dementia, because your entire brain shrinks because the antibodies keep killing off more cells, but it's over the whole brain. And so the whole brain shrinks, and that's non-Alzheimer's dementia. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So I talk about that. Well, that's one of the videos, the impact of food sensitivity on the brain. And then beer, bread, and great substitutes video. I talk about, what do you eat? What do you not eat? And that's all just in the section food in your brain. In the section for cognitive decline, that means losing your ability to think, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different videos. And here's the title of the videos. And in each one of them, it's me for 5 to 10 minutes talking about these points, just downloading, like understanding Alzheimer's disease. What is Alzheimer's? What are the biomarkers that say you've got an Alzheimer's type mechanism going on? And some people say, I don't want to know. Well, I disagree. You do want to know. Because if the mechanism's going on, if nothing changes, you've got a high risk of developing Alzheimer's. But if you see that those mechanisms are going on, hopefully that's the kick in the pants where you say, well, okay, what do I do about this? And then you dial down and you learn what to do. Our friend, Dr. Dale Bredesen, wrote the whole book, The End of Alzheimer's. And he runs the Buck Institute at UCLA, the Alzheimer's Research Center. And he's got in his last book, there were over 100 cases. And now I'm sure there's more than that. That was 2 years ago he wrote it. So I'm sure it's more than 100, but completely reversing Alzheimer's. And there's Bredesen centers all over the world now applying his protocols. That's all in the book in the video on understanding Alzheimer's. Then there's understanding Parkinson's. That'll drop your jaw. And then root causes, cognitive decline. What are the underlying mechanisms of why we start losing our ability to think properly? Lifestyle tips to prevent reverse cognitive decline. Herpes effect on cognitive decline. You know, there's 246 studies on herpes and the development of Alzheimer's. You get these cold sores every once in a while in your lip, that's herpes simplex 1. Much higher risk of developing Alzheimer's type dementia when you're older. And I talk all about that in the video and what to do about it. Brain health SPECT scans and imaging videos, and what kind of tests can you do to monitor and classify your level of brain health, and neurological problems. So all those are in the video on the section on cognitive decline, all those videos. So that's the brain masterclass, the DrTomOBryanGlutenFree /brain-masterclass. But smell, the smell is the one that really caught me. When I started learning about this, I'm just going to give you one study. And if you go to the DrTomOBryanGlutenFree /smell, I put 5 studies there for you guys to look at, 5 different studies. But this one really caught me and got me interested in this whole field. It's from the Journal of Gerontology, and it came out of Oxford University. And the title is The Association Between Olfactory Impairment, smell, that's olfactory, impairment, and total mortality in older adults. And they looked at people over 60 years old, 1,636 people over 60 years old. And what did they find? They followed them for what's called 5-year all-cause mortality, meaning how many people died in the next 5 years of anything? How many of them? And they looked to see of all these people. And more than 1 in 5 participants, actually it was 21.8%. 21.8% of the people who had impairment in their ability to smell, that's what the test looks at, is your ability to smell. And they use this test. This test is the same University of Pennsylvania standard olfactory smell test. And they found that more than 1 in 5 participants with olfactory impairment, 21.8% of the people that had a loss of the sense of smell, had died over 5 years, compared with less than 10% of the participants who didn't lose their sense of smell or have a reduction in their sense of smell. So more than double the number of people, 21.8% of them died within 5 years of something. Doesn't matter what it was. They were just looking to see what was the mortality rate. And if you have a reduction in your sense of smell, 21.8% of those people over 60 years old, within 5 years they had died, compared to 10% of the people that don't have a loss of the sense of smell. So it more than doubled, more than doubled. That's why the smell test is so important. And you get that, it's like $45, I think, for the smell test. You do it at home. It's really easy, really simple. Go to theDr.com/smell, and there's a video of me talking about the smell test. And have any of you done it who are out there right now? Give me a thumbs up or send me a comment if you have, and what your thoughts are about that smell test. And in the meantime, let's see here. Mindy's in the house. Was very eye-opening learning about vaccines. Thanks, Mindy. I'm glad your eyes were open. Mine too, as I talked to Dr. Sherry Tenpenny about this. Tiffany, Wiser course, $600. I can't afford that, but would love to learn more. Really good point, Tiffany. So to learn more, what you can do is just keep reading and listening to people. Dr. Tenpenny has spent 20 years, I don't know, maybe 15, doing this. And it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of work. And to put the course together, you know, we all have to make a living. And she's, I'd say that she qualifies as a senior, like I do, in terms of her age, you know. So there's hundreds of hours in there. And you can ask her, Tiffany, write her and ask her, see what she says. Dawn says, I'd love to hear what you think of Meniere's disease. I ended up developing it here. We have black mold, but I'm in remission because I've changed my diet. Way to go, Dawn. Let's see, where was I? Oh, I was interviewed today by a group out of London, and the host had dizziness last week, and she said it was with her all week. She didn't know where it came from, and she went to her acupuncturist who fixed it for her. So then, you know, so she's saying that to all of her listeners, and then she says, hey, we're going to welcome Dr. O'Bryan. Hi, Dr. O'Bryan. I said, well, hi, nice to be here. Thank you so much. And I'm going to start right off. Let's do a deep dive into your dizziness, your vertigo. And so we started talking about that. And I published a paper on dizziness, on vertigo, with a group of otolaryngologists. That's nose specialists, and on Meniere's disease. 3 years ago, a group of otolaryngologists out of Milan, Italy, and we published a paper on reversing Meniere's, reversing vertigo, on a gluten-free diet. That we checked 36 people diagnosed with Meniere's, and then we checked them all for a sensitivity to wheat. Those that came back positive for sensitivity to wheat, we put them on a gluten-free diet, the way that I would recommend a gluten-free diet. And the result was they all got better. Every one of them got better. So the key to finding out where is your Meniere's coming from is what's the trigger? It's always inflammation. Gasoline on the fire. So the question is it gasoline or kerosene? Is it a wheat sensitivity or mold? And is it your kidneys or your brain in terms of where it's manifesting? So with Meniere's, it's your brain, obviously. And if you look at it, and I talk about it in the book, You Can Fix Your Brain, because I talk about it from the concept of the pyramid. For those of you who've heard me speak before, I talk about the pyramid of health, the 4 quadrants of health. It used to be 3. It used to be a triangle of health. There was structure and biochemistry and emotions or spiritual. But in the last 20 years, there's now a 4th component for the first time in the history of humanity. We are being exposed to such high levels. This is a whole category in itself, and that's electromagnetic. And the electromagnetic is the 4th category. And so I talk about Meniere's from all 4 categories. And for example, structure, well, you know, I cut my teeth as a chiropractor. And there were a number of people over the years, they'd have dizziness, they'd have vertigo, they'd been diagnosed with Meniere's. And when you fix their neck or their upper back, their dizziness goes away, sometimes in one day, sometimes just gradually diminishing. But sometimes that was the missing link. It was Meniere's. And that's not the case. It may not be the case for everyone, but you always check the structure. That's the base of the pyramid. You know, we're in Poland, and we have a bed and breakfast that we stay in, and the guy here was nice enough to get me a desk and a chair after the last time we were here, you know, because I said, well, you know, love to come back, but I need a desk and a chair to work. And so, but this chair, it keeps sinking. It keeps sinking. If you see my head, you'll notice in a minute or two, I'm sinking down quite a bit. And I have to adjust this chair so often. Cheap chair. But it's very thoughtful of him to have gotten a chair for me. So the issue with Meniere's is to see where is it coming from? Where and why is it there? Mark says, I've shared last week's discussion with many on Facebook. Hard to make enough people aware of the dangers. I know, Mark. People like to keep their head in the sand. I don't know why, but they do. Beppy says, thanks. Beppy, my grandfather's name was Beppy. Hi, Beppy. Janine says, I'm a student of Dr. Rita Marie's, Lascalzo. She's great, love her. My mother recently just passed away. Sorry to hear that. But the prior months, the hospitals and nursing home continually wanted to give my mom pneumonia and flu vaccinations. Right, so are you kidding me? Thank goodness she listened to me. It's sad what they're doing to our elderly communities. I hope to educate families taking care of their parents. Way to go, Janine. We need you out there helping to educate people. You go, girl. And seeing what they did with your mom is a classic example. Just a classic. Happens all the time, unfortunately. I mean, really, you've got a senior that they're on their end of life, you know, close to the end of life and not doing well, perhaps. You're going to give them flu vaccinations? Really? Does this person have a history of flus that lay them out for a week or two every year? I mean, some people need help with their immune systems when the flu bug comes around. Most don't, you know, and the idea that the vaccine saves lives, that's all been proven false. Dr. Tenpenny talks a lot about that in her course. Robert says, hello from Montana. Hey, Robert, hi. I'm coming to Whitefish in a couple of weeks to visit my best friend, do a little skiing, hopefully, hit the slopes there. Oh, Dr. Rita Marie just joined. Hey, Dr. Rita Marie, hi. Someone was just commenting. They're a fan of yours, and they're talking about their mother who was in a nursing home, and they kept wanting to give her vaccinations and for flu and something else. But nice things to say about you. So thanks for joining. Carolyn's here talking about Vibrant. Yes, Vibrant is the lab that does the neural zoomer, the zoomer panels. And that name is so you can zoom in. You zoom in on the problem like nothing ever before. You guys notice how my head has sunk down? That's this chair. I got to do this again. This crazy chair. So, all right, here we go. Debbie says, what is glutathione and how is it measured? How does it relate to Hashimoto's? Really good question. I just had a discussion with one of the the nutrition companies that I work with and talk about their products, use their products, about glutathione and how important I think it is. So it's a great question. Thank you, Debbie. Glutathione is called the master antioxidant. It's the big kahuna. It's the one that breaks down more toxic chemicals that you're exposed to than anything else. And if there is one substance, if there were only one that you were going to measure and make sure you have abundant doses of, it would be vitamin D. You thought I'd say glutathione. No, it's vitamin D. But if there were two, it would be vitamin D and glutathione. Critically important. The problem is, and because of this toxic world that we live in today, we need more glutathione than ever before inside our cells. That's what it's called, the master antioxidant. And you measure, there's a couple of things to measure. The first is your genetics are really important to measure when you're looking at glutathione levels. And in a genetic test, you do a genetic test once in your life. Those things don't change. That's your genes. And many people, and that's the detoxogenomic profile. That's one that I've used for years, where it measures the genes around your vulnerability to not using glutathione very well. And if you carry those genes, and you've all heard me say before, if you've got the gene for something, doesn't mean you're getting that disease. It means that you're vulnerable to getting the disease. So if you've got the genes to have poor glutathione metabolism, it doesn't mean you have poor glutathione metabolism. It means you're vulnerable to having poor glutathione metabolism. So you're the ones that have to be a little more on top of it. And how do you do that? Well, there are a number of different nutrients and products that help increase glutathione levels. In terms of foods, whey protein is the most common. In terms of supplements, the letter N-acetylcysteine is the one that's the precursor, raw material that your body makes glutathione from. And so for those that have genetic vulnerability, the things you take would be N-acetylcysteine, alpha lipoic acid, extra vitamin C, coenzyme Q10. Those are some of the principal nutrients that give the raw materials to your body to make more glutathione. And then you can check your glutathione levels in a blood test also. So you check the genes and you check your level. Your level is going to fluctuate all the time, but it's the one that breaks down the toxic chemicals in the air that you're breathing, or it's the first detox mechanisms in your gut. Every cell in your body has glutathione, but it's the first detox mechanisms in the gut that break down glyphosate from eating GMO foods. Your glutathione levels in the gut are critically important for that. You see I'm doing this chair thing. What a nuisance that is. But Linda says, elevated antibodies to the brain. Oh no, that should be like a song. Elevated antibodies to the brain. Oh no, elevated antibodies to the brain. Oh no. But it's very, very common, Linda. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make light of it, but you have to laugh sometimes at these really serious things. 74% of the people with antibodies to lectins have elevated antibodies to the brain. 68% of those with elevated antibodies to wheat have elevated antibodies to their brain. 62%, I don't remember if it was 62 or 58% of those with elevated antibodies to dairy have elevated antibodies to their brain. Wheat, dairy, lectins are the three top ones that have cross-reactivity with creating antibodies to the brain. And it's 74% for lectins, 68% for wheat, and 58, I think it was, or 56% for dairy. That's how common it is. And if you have elevated antibodies to your brain, you don't feel elevated antibodies to your brain. You don't feel it, but they're killing off tissue all the time. That's why you want to do these tests. That's why Michelle Ross, my director of clinical services, and I are always so on top of, guys, you got to do these tests. Got to do these tests. They give you the picture of what's going on right now, And then you say, oh, well, okay, but why would I do the test? Because then you know you need to do something about this. Well, what do I do? You take the Brain Master class. And that's exactly why I put the Brain Master class together, is so you can figure out, where am I getting these toxins that are affecting me so much? If you do the urine test for phthalates and you find out you got lots of phthalates in your body right now, and if you have lots of, sorry, that's my chair again. If you have lots of phthalates, then you say, okay, where are they coming from? Oh gosh, I am using Tupperware containers. Get the containers out of the kitchen. Give them to your husband to store nails in, and get glass containers in the kitchen. Get rid of the saran wrap. Use beeswax paper. All those tips are in the videos that I spent months putting together for you guys. That's why that Brain Master class is so great. And if anyone doesn't like my Brain Master class, you just write me. We'll give you your money back. I don't care. You know, I mean, we need to make a living, but that's not why we're doing this. We're doing this to change the planet, and we need people to wisen up how you're poisoning your bodies, and you don't know you're poisoning your bodies. So you've got elevated phthalates in your urine, and you don't have plastic containers in the kitchen. You aren't using plastic lids on coffee cups. You've got your stainless steel. You say fill it up at the local coffee shop. All these things are in the videos. So, well, where's it coming from? And so you check the air of your house, and you find out, oh my gosh, there's phthalates in the air. I've got lots of phthalates in the air. Yes, you may. Well, what do? You get a better air filtration system in your house, because that's where you spend most of the time, and especially in your bedroom. Full house unit would be best if you can. But you don't think to do these things unless you've done the Zoomer test and you have found out where the problems are. That's why I see Marzi put the Zoomer link in. Thank you, honey. She was going to sleep, but she can't sleep when I'm doing this. She's too dedicated and I'm too loud. So she's up and doing this. The lectins are still there even if you soak the beans. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Some of them break down a little bit, so they're easier to digest, and you often have less gas. That's really breaking down some of the FODMAPs more than the lectins, though. But the lectin toxicity is reduced a little when you soak the beans. Also, if you're drinking drinks that have bubbles, carbonated and or taking antacids, that really causes problems with digestion. Thanks, Nick. That's true. That's true. Jen says, what video series? It's theDr.com /brain-masterclass. And it's a 6-section class, and I don't know how many videos are in each section. Let me see. On the gut and brain section, there are 4 different videos. On the food in your brain section, there are 5 different videos. In the toxins in your brain section, there are 6 different videos. In the cognitive decline section, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different videos. In the where to start, implementation techniques to fix your brain section, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos. And in the understanding supplements for your brain section, there are 2 videos. And then there are a bunch of bonuses. There's a video on pregnancy protocol, how to prepare for pregnancy, breathing for brain health, and tips and strategies for optimal brain health. So these are 3 extra videos I put in there. And so this took months and months of my time to do, and hiring a video team. You know, you got to have 2 cameras, and then they've got to edit all this stuff. They got to put it all together. So when you ask why Dr. Tenpenny's course was the cost that it was, I'm sure that's part of it. It's all of the time and the effort. So our course, I'm looking on the site, it was originally $297, but we cut that, we slashed it. We made it 97 bucks. It's 97 bucks for you guys so that you can get clues and tips on what to do to protect your brain for you and your family. Okay, that's enough about that. Sherwin says, thanks, Dr. Tom, for your adrenal kidney tips 2 weeks ago. Using a shower bench to direct warm water to the adrenals, good. Too cold sensitive to turn down the water temp. Hoping to get more adventuresome as warmer spring weather rolls in. Not yet located beef hearts will get easier in summer. Way to go, man. But Sherwin, turn that thing to cold, man, for 5 seconds. turn it to cold, you go, woo, woo, and then turn it right back to hot again. It won't kill you, I promise, and it'll wake up your adrenal glands. So I don't know, crazy chair. I don't know about being too sensitive to this. Hi, honey.
You can also adjust your screen. Don't need to do that.
Oh, she says I can adjust the screen, but I keep going down, and then my arms are resting on the desk, and I'm like this. So my wife's smiling at my chair thing. Okay, well, okay. Tracy says hello from South Carolina. Robert Cardacci says, wow, thanks, Robert. I think that's a good comment. Paul is in Alaska's in the house. Hi. Anita says, what can I take to help with blocked arteries, please? You can take a change in your lifestyle. Are you kidding me? What drug can I take? Or if you haven't heard me say this before, when you go to a doctor and they identify a problem, whether it's diabetes or plugged arteries or whatever it is, it's like you've fallen over a waterfall and you've crashed into the pond below. You swim up to the surface and you spit out the water. You spit out the water. Oh, thank God I'm alive. Thank God I'm alive. You're trying to stay afloat in this pond of diabetes or this pond of blocked arteries or this pond of recurrent miscarriages. It doesn't matter what your symptoms are. You're in the pond. But it's really hard to stay afloat in the pond of those symptoms because the waterfall keeps falling into the water, so it's really turbulent and it's really hard to stay afloat. You're still living the lifestyle that caused the problem that you're now dealing with. You're in the pond and it's really turbulent because the water from the waterfall keeps falling in the water because you're still living the lifestyle that caused the problem. So there is no pill you're going to take that's going to fix the problem. There are some things that will help, and I'll answer that for you. But you have to change your thinking. You have to go back. First, you get the life jacket so that you don't drown. You got high blood pressure, you take the medication. Or you get chest pain, you take the medication when you get chest pain. But you don't stay in the pond. You don't keep living the lifestyle that caused the problem. Once you've got the life jacket on and you're stable, you take the medication, you swim over to the side of the pond, get out of the water, walk up the hill, walk back up the river and find out what fell in the river. So what you do is you do my brain masterclass or you read my books because you learn all about this in the books about lifestyle and what causes atherosclerosis, the plugging up of your pipes. So it's a lifestyle change. And okay, so what can you take when you have your pipes are plugged up? You have to change the dynamic of how your blood vessels work. So the first thing you do is the 4-minute workout twice a day. What's the 4-minute workout? My friend Dr. Zach Bush did a really nice video and he goes through for 4 minutes with you. Lift your arms up, lift them up like this, squat down, bend your knees squatting. He goes through it. It's really easy to do, but you do it twice a day because within 30 seconds or so of doing some simple exercises, and you know, whichever there are 4 or 5 in his series, within 30 seconds to a minute of doing it, your blood vessels say, hey, I need more oxygen. And when they need more oxygen, they produce nitric oxide in the blood vessels. When you produce nitric oxide, it helps your blood vessels to relax and open up so that more blood flows through. So when your pipes are plugged up, you want that mechanism. So they're very gentle, very easy types of exercises to do. I've got my mother-in-law doing them right now. She's having major surgery in 3 weeks, and she's doing them twice a day now, every day. So we need to get you moving. But the things that you can take that will help, a little bit of niacin, not too much. If you take niacin, that's one of the B vitamins. If you take too much niacin, you get all red and itchy. And if you look in the mirror, you look like you've been in the sun for 5 hours. You're all red and you itch. And itch, don't worry, it'll go away. If that happens to you, it's called niacin rush or niacin flush. If it happens, just drink a couple of glasses of water. It'll go away. It's no danger. But you don't want to feel uncomfortable. So for most people, the dosage is between 50 and 250 milligrams of niacin a couple times a day. and it just opens your blood vessels a little bit. That's just a simple, there are many things to do, but you know, the key is to find out what's the mechanism that's causing your pipes to plug up, and how can you open them up? How can you get more blood flow? And that's where the education comes in. Read the Autoimmune Fix, read You Can Fix Your Brain. They're both on my website, theDr.com, and do the Brain Masterclass, because you'll learn so much about how to take better health and what kind of foods to eat in the Brain Masterclass. Robert says, hard to help those with beginning cognitive issues who don't want to admit there's a problem. Yeah, you know, when you want it more than they do, you're spinning your wheels, man. And I've learned that over the years, not to spin my wheels so much anymore. I used to say, no, you can be helped, you can be helped. But, you know, it was more important to me than it was to them. And so for those people, you just kind of have to bless them and wish them a good life and hope that they don't suffer, right? There's enough people that really want to get well and be well. Tell me what to do, man. Tell me what to take, or tell me what to look at. What tests can I do to find out what's going on? Those are the people that are wonderful to work with. And Dr. Rita Maria would agree with me, I think, on that. Let's see here. Amal says, do thyroid cysts sometimes grow temporarily with heavy metal detox? Besides gluten-free and vibrant testing to arrange diet, what are best natural methods to reducing thyroid cysts? Non-cancerous usually, 5% or less actually are cancer. Thanks for staying up to teach us. Oh, thanks, Amal, very kind of you. What are the triggers to cysts? One of the really common triggers are phthalates, plastics, the chemicals that change plastics, that mold plastics. They cause a lot of cysts. Most famous of the cysts, ovarian cysts, uterine fibroids, thyroid cysts may be from phthalates. So where's the toxicity coming from? Is it phthalates? Is it heavy metals? Why are these cysts being formed? And most commonly, first place that I look is with, I would do the test for toxicity. You go to my website, theDr.com. I'd suggest, you know, we've got a team. The doctors on the team and the nutritionists on the team are trained to walk you guys through what tests should you consider, and then help you interpret those tests, and then what to do about them. But that's where I would look, Amal, is to toxicity first. Most common is phthalates. Missy says, right, with a question mark, exclamation, question mark, explanation, and EMFs. Okay, Missy, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but whatever you say, I listen to. Thank you so much for that. Dawn says, check the upper cervical spine. Oh, with vertigo and Meniere's. Absolutely, Dawn, you're absolutely right on that. Annie says, thank you for always doing these Facebook Lives. I've been researching and learning for years now, but I always learn something new from each of your videos. Oh, thank you. I'm in the nutritional therapy practitioner program with the NTA right now. Great, Annie. Way to go. I'm on their medical advisory board. And that's helping me really cement all of these functional medicine nutrition ideas. The veil has been lifted. Way to go, girl. The veil's been lifted. That's great. Way to go. And I just did a full-day certified gluten practitioner program for the NTAs in Australia. That was a lot of fun. I really had a good time there. Maria's here from Venezuela. Hi, Maria. You say, can you help us? Well, I'm not sure, you know, but put your question in and, you know, we'll see what we can do here. Excuse me while I blow my nose. Okay. This is like I'm on a talk show, you know, I blow my nose, throw it on the floor, you know, pick it up later. I'm so glad you do these. The information you provided for me saved my life. Oh, thank you, Carol. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say. Don says, I purchased some sea salt. Way to go, Don. Mia says, me too, started learning from betrayal. Oh, thanks, Mia. Yeah. Carolyn says, vaccines can exacerbate health issues. Absolutely. Not a good idea to get vaccines at all in anyone immune compromised. I would agree. Tracy says, which NAC? N-acetylcysteine. Todd says, my wife has had fibromyalgia for more than 16 years and she is now getting frequent headaches. Where would you recommend that we start on a path to health? Really good question, Todd. As soon as I started to read your question, and you said fibromyalgia, I said brain, brain, brain. And then you said she's getting headaches. So you do the Zoomer panel. I would strongly suggest, Todd, that you work with Michelle Ross on our team, because Michelle knows this one really well. That I would wager that when you do the neural Zoomer as part of the Zoomer panel, you're going to find that she's got elevated antibodies to her brain. Now, what does it mean to have elevated antibodies to your brain? It means that you got inflammation in the brain. Your brain's on fire. And so you've got elevated antibodies to myelin or to cerebellum. It depends on which antibodies are elevated as to where you start to look, but once you know what the antibodies are that are elevated, it's also your biomarker. It's your line in the sand. So, okay, you've got elevated antibodies to myelin. All right, let's look and see if you have strep infection. Let's look and see if you have phthalate levels that are too high or mercury levels, because those three are very common. And when you do the test and you see, oh, look, you got phthalates. And, all right, so let's detox you from phthalates. Then you learn the detox program to get the phthalates out, if that's the one for you. And then 6 months later, you go back and you do the neural Zoomer again. You say, oh, look, the antibodies to the brain are gone. They're down to normal now. Way to go. You stopped that degenerative process going on in your brain. That's the goal. Identify the degenerative process, apply the right principles, and then check and confirm the results. Now, you think you can do that yourself? People think they can do it themselves. You can't. People are so frustrated by the quality of healthcare they've gotten that they want to do it they think they have to do it themselves. You don't. You just need someone that's really good and knows what they're doing that can walk with you on this path. That's my team. They're all trained for that. There's 3 people on my team, and they're all trained for this. I work with them every week. And it's Michelle Ross at theDr.com /consultations. And Todd, I'd strongly suggest you do that for your wife. Linda says, hello from Quebec. Hello, Linda. Leanne says, I just joined, so I apologize I'm off topic, or if this was already talked about. I understand how the altered wheat and glyphosate have a synergistic effect that wreaks havoc on the gut. But what about organic wheat like Ezekiel bread? Would this be okay for kids if they don't have a gluten sensitivity or leaky gut? Really good question, Leanne. So the answer is, if you do the wheat Zoomer, and I say that test because it's the only test that's as comprehensive, you do the wheat Zoomer and it comes back negative, it means that you have not crossed the line of oral tolerance, and wheat is okay for you. Although it causes some inflammation in the gut for everyone, your immune system hasn't gotten activated saying you crossed the line, you can't have wheat anymore. So your immune system has not said that if the wheat Zoomer comes back negative. The only caveat is we have to make sure that your immune system is capable of answering the question. So some people are what's called immunocompromised. It means your immune system's worn out and it can't work properly. So as long as you're not immunocompromised, if the wheat Zoomer test comes back negative, I have no grounds to stand on to say don't eat wheat. So your kids can then eat organic wheat, and Ezekiel would be fine. Although some studies show that the heritage wheats are just as toxic as the hybrid wheats. So I'm not sure it's going to be better for them, but chances are it might be, but only for those that come back negative on the wheat Zoomer test. Why that test? It's the only one that's been shown to be 97 to 99% sensitive, 98 to 100% specific, meaning it's right on the money every time, without exception. There's no other lab test that's like that. Dorada's here from New York City. Hi, Dorada. Carolyn says, these tests are life-changing. Thanks, Carolyn, for saying that. Tracy says, tests, don't guess. Thank you, Tracy. So these are people that have been around for a while, and they've gone through and done the test. They say, oh my God, I didn't know this about what's going on in my body. This makes such a difference to know. Peggy said, wow, I didn't know you offered this class. Yes, theDr.com /brain-masterclass. And I know you didn't know because I don't talk about it. I'm so awkward about talking about this stuff, and my staff said, please mention the Brain Masterclass. So I am. Karen says, how do you get pallets in the air? Pallets. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Karen. How do you get pallets in the air? Phthalates. Phthalates. Sorry, yeah. Plastic in your kitchen. Plastic in the covers that my mother would put on the furniture in the living room. The plastic covers. Stuff leaches out. What are some of the phthalates that are in kitchens commonly? Saran wrap, Tupperware containers, and this stuff, if it sits there, the phthalates, you know, when you wash it, you kind of break some stuff. It's like if the paint on your walls is before 1978, all the paint had lead in it. There's lead in the air because microscopically it breaks into little pieces and it gets in the air. Phthalates are the same way. Peggy says, wow, lots of videos. You bet I spent months putting that program together, months. And way too much money to do it. But it's really a great class. The DrTomOBryan /brain-masterclass. It works, it's a really good class. Emily says, Dr. Tom, I just love you. You're my favorite medical speaker. I'm a chronic insomniac. What do you recommend that I can do to sleep more regular hours and be a real day person? Really good question. Turn off the television an hour before you go to sleep. Get off of your computer. Get off of your phone. Turn off the wireless. Take a hot bath. And then take 3 droppers full. That might be too much. Start with 1 dropper and slowly work up of liquid melatonin that's on my website. So turn off the electromagnetics an hour before you go to sleep. Take a hot bath, a bubble bath. Just get your body to relax a little bit. Have a little tea, not caffeinated. And then take melatonin. And do that for a week, every day. Every day. You want to take a bath every day? Yes. For a week. Yes. And notice what happens. Notice that you all of a sudden, oh, wow, I just slept 7 hours. Those things will help. Tracy says, you two are too cute. Thanks. Marge says, get up and get a different chair. I don't know. Where am I going to get a chair? You know, the kitchen chair is here. This is a Airbnb. You know, so it's a nice unit, but it's not my unit. And I'm not going to buy this guy a new chair. Mark says, will you have a follow-up session on vaccines with another expert like Dr. Tenpenny soon? I see much legislation coming out from 30 states on vaccine. You know, Mark, there's no one out there that knows more than Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. If you want more information, I would do her course. You know, you will just, your jaw will drop when you do her course. Or just listen to all you can from her. Tracy says, I read there is data to show reductions in fibrinogen with high vitamin C supplements. Yes, that's true. Sandy says, I'm halfway through your book and have stopped gluten, sugar, and dairy. There you go, Sandy. I'm going to get the test you recommend, good, but will skew the test. Should I eat the old way before? No, no need. No need to do gluten challenge. Absolutely not. If you got a problem, it'll show. What will help with neuropathy? Everything I talk about will help with neuropathy. It's like you fell over into the pond of neuropathy. You can't stay in the pond. You got to change the lifestyle that causes neuropathy. Where's it coming from? I don't know where it's coming from. You got to do the test to find out. Well, what test? The test that I'm talking about, the entire Zoomer panel, including the neural Zoomer. And you do the brain masterclass so that you learn all of these things that affect your brain and your nervous system. What is neuropathy? Pain in the nerves. Where is it coming from? Maybe coming from your brain, or maybe coming from your environment, or maybe coming from your foods. It depends on where it's coming from. Okay. Mary Nelson says, hi, Dr. Tom, U.S. almost on daylight time. Okay, Mary, that's nice. Tiffany says, it's so scary. Legislation trying to take away our parental rights. Yes, it's very scary, Tiffany. We have to wake up to this and then be rational and educated as to what to do about it. Tracy Power says, nitric oxide dump. Love it. You bet. You bet. That's the 4-minute exercise routine twice a day. That's the niacin, N-acetylcysteine will help also with nitric oxide production. Beets are a great nitric oxide aid. That's true, Mark. You're right on the money with that. They're just the best. Okay, folks, it's been over an hour. Debbie says niacinamide is not supposed to have a flush with it. I didn't talk about niacinamide. I talked about niacin. There's a difference. So it's been over an hour, and it's 2 a.m. here, and I'm going to go to sleep. Thank you so much for joining. If you found this of value, could you, by the way, guys, let me ask you. 2 things I'm going to ask you. 2 things. First, like us on Facebook if you haven't. That really helps. Second, 3 things. Go to Instagram. Go to my Instagram thing. You know, I've got a team member now that's working on Instagram, and they've gotten us just over 10,000 likes now. And what that means is Instagram allows you to put more stuff on your site if you've got at least 10,000 likes. And when you get more, they'll give you more latitude. So if you would, just go to my Instagram account and give me a shout out there. Third, please, 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 this topic about cannabidiols, which is some of the components in the hemp plant. This whole thing about medical marijuana and CBD. Medical marijuana helps a lot of people. It's very helpful. People that have cancer, they can't eat. They do a little medical marijuana, they get an appetite, and their body gets stronger, and they can eat. But the other components in the hemp plant, CBD, are not hallucinogenic. They have no altering effects on your brain whatsoever. Absolutely none. And the studies are so clear about this. I wrote a book, an ebook with Dr. Mary Clifton called The Grass is Greener. And it's on Amazon. It's 99 cents on Amazon. Would you please spend 99 cents on Amazon, take a look at it, and then write a review on Amazon? If we get the reviews, Amazon will give it more placement. And there's no politics in it whatsoever. It's all about what the studies say. For example, the most common type of tumor in children is helped dramatically with CBD. And they say, the researchers say, there is no evidence of any psychohallucinogenic effects whatsoever. Children's pains reduce and the tumors reduce on CBD. We do not hesitate in saying that every child who has this type of tumor should be taking CBD. People need to know that. There's no reason why not. And 10 out of 10 people in one study that had drug-resistant seizures, they had epilepsy and the drugs weren't working. All 10 of them, the seizures stopped on CBD. And there's no psychedelic effects to CBD. There's none. It's a harmless product. So please spend 99 cents on Amazon, download The Grass is Greener, and write a review, okay? And thank you so much for all the hearts. Thank you, and all the thumbs up. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. You make this fun. So thanks very much, and I'll see you next week, okay? Bye-bye.